Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Everyday Strong with Dr. Michael G. Downs. This is your host, CB Baker. This episode will be a two-part episode today. Dr. Daniels, welcome to the show.
Good day to you, and good day to everyone that follows us and keeps track. It's always a pleasure. I know lately we've had a lot of feedback, which is always good as well. So I'm glad that people are out there listening and have concerns, and I appreciate the feedback coming in.
Yes. So the topic today is somewhat based on the feedback. You know, we already know that a lot of people out there that support us because we hear the comments to us verbally when we're in the street, at supermarkets, you know, just living our everyday lives. But, you know, online, we got those people, Dr. Daniels, what I call thumb thuggers, who like to post negative comments or not. It's a comment wrapped in a question. It starts out as a question and it turns up to being them just making a statement. Right. But so the topic today I wanted to talk about was haters. Now, one thing about it, Dr. Daniel, everybody, if you're living on Earth, now I don't know what on planet Xenon or whatever, but on Earth, you're going to encounter some haters. Right. So what I want to talk to you, Dr. Daniel, is about how the Bible tells us to handle haters and how we can incorporate that in our everyday lives, and then also the definition of when does criticism or critical feedback turn into just plain old just hate.
That's a great question. Let me say that starting out. It's a great question, and it is a delicate line, you know, to distinguish between. Let me give you three biblical examples of haters, and then that'll kind of give us something to work with, okay? Right. I guess the first example we have of a hater is in the book of Genesis, where you have two brothers. You know, you have Cain and Abel, and they have been taught how to worship and how to please God. And so Abel follows the advice that his father has given him, and he gives the offering that is pleasing to God. Whereas with Cain does what he thinks is best, and that offering is not pleasing to God. And so because of that, Cain gets upset with Abel. So he is upset with the wrong individual. Right. He's mad at Abel for pleasing God, but he's not mad at God when God is the one that's not pleased with him. So he becomes a hater of his own brother. He hates him so much that he does the ultimate hate. He kills him. So that's one hater situation. Right. Just because you're jealous of what another person has done to please someone else. If you know, and there's several examples, but I'm just gonna stick to a couple of ones that really are, you know, salient. Then you have another group of brothers, Joseph being one brother. He has 10 other brothers, where in this incident, Joseph receives, or he feels he gets some kind of indication from God, and he feels that he is special. And so he actually believes that there is a special anointing on his life and that he will become a very prominent individual. And so he expresses that to his brothers. And again, they get upset because their thought process is, how can you, who is younger, tell us you're going to be greater than us? And so they began again to hate in that regard. Right. And because they hate him so much, they sailed him into slavery. Okay. Right. Now, the third incident I'll just throw out at you is actually the apostles of Christ. Right. You have Peter and you have John, and John has a close relationship with Jesus, and even though Peter has one too, Jesus tends to coddle John more than he does Peter, because he knows their personalities and he recognizes that John, I need to treat him more gentle than I treat Peter. Right. And so Peter becomes jealous of that, right? And begins to hate on John because of John's relationship with Jesus. And so that is based on a relationship kind of thing, that it is not so much a jealousy of what John has done, but jealousy of John's position. And so the Bible tends to look at that I guess the genesis of most of the haterism, if we would call it that, is the result of jealousy. That when we get to the point where we are jealous about an individual for various reasons, and so therefore that comes out as a criticism that's so harsh, it really is, a hater's attitude.
Right.
Yeah.
So, the funny thing about it is, in each one of those instances in the Bible where the hate took place, it followed something great.
Mm-hmm.
It's like it almost what was needed for them to be great, that had to happen first. So I'm gonna ask this question: in order to be successful, do you have to have somebody in the wings hating on you to propel it? It's almost like it's a fuel to it.
Well, I won't say that haters propel excellence. What I will say is excellence reveals haters.
Gotcha.
That if you have no haters, then probably
You
aren't doing a whole lot,
Right.
right? Because it's difficult to be successful and people not be jealous. It's extremely difficult because most of us don't like the idea of supporting people that we think ought to be equal to us, but yet they have obtained a greater status than us.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And so that's the thing. So that's why, to me, if you look at how these people handle haters, all of them handle it in different ways. Okay. Unfortunately for Cain and Abel, Cain killed Abel, so we don't get an appreciation for everything he did as far as, dealing with his brother Cain.
Right.
We do know from Joseph how he handled his haters. And so in Joseph's case, he treated his haters with more love, mm-hmm. because his idea was that what you are doing in showing me hatred, you may think is bad, but right. I know that God is doing this for all of our good.
Right.
So even though they sold him into slavery and they did all kinds of things against him, his point was that was God's plan.
Right.
And so without your hating, I wouldn't have been here. I wouldn't have been able to protect you and the family and those kind of things. So his idea was to show more love the more folks showed hate.
Yeah.
Which is hard to do.
Yeah. It is hard to show people love where they're hating on you.
Absolutely. And so I think for him, what I learned from his instance is this: he didn't focus on the haters of his brothers. What he focused on was his belief that no matter what happened to him, God was in control.
Right.
So for the believer, I think the way that we can deal with the hater is to not focus on the hater, but focus on the fact that, hey, if they are doing something detrimental to me in their hating, God is in control. And so therefore, nothing that they do can stop my progress. But in fact, as you said, it may tend to fuel my progress because their hating may trigger some other things and put other things into motion that, cause me to be recognized more by somebody else.
Right.
And help me go forward.
So in a sense, we spend too much time focusing on the hater itself, the individual person.
Yes.
And even acknowledging it. It's because when you're doing that, all the time that you spent doing that, you're not spending time focusing on what you're supposed to be doing, mm-hmm. and what God is trying to do for you, because you're too busy focusing on what the devil wants you to focus on.
Right. And that's the key. See, the hater can't enjoy their life because they're focusing on your success.
Right.
Now, if you focus on the hater, you can't enjoy your success because you're focusing on those who now are hating on you because of your success. And so to me, the thing to do is to be thankful for the haters, because if I didn't have haters, let me say it this way. Everybody needs a barometer in life to let them know that they have achieved something, Mm-hmm. You're great in football, professional football, when you get voted into the Hall of Fame, right? And in any sport, basically, right? Or you see some kind of accolade. You are a great actor or actress when you get the Oscar, right? I know I have achieved something by the number of haters that I have. So the more haters I have, that's kind of like that Oscar, like, oh, wow, if I only got one Oscar, if I only got one hater, I did one thing great.
Right.
The more haters I got, the more Oscars I have. The more I know that what I'm doing is having a positive impact. Because what you can bank on is this: people don't hate on people who they view as being less than them, or people who are making a lot of mistakes. They don't hate on people who make a lot of mistakes. They feel sorry for them. They may talk about them, but they don't hate on them.
Right. It's interesting that if you keep living, you keep doing positive things, people just come up and this random negative stuff starts happening, or not starts happening, but people start saying things. And then they go to the point of just flat out just lying on you.
Right.
Yeah, and that's the part that I really don't understand. Is why would you just flat out tell a lie on me when I haven't done anything to you? I get it, Pastor.
Right.
I get it. If I was
trying to discredit.
Right. Now, if me and you was beefing and you went out told a lie, I get it. We beefing. But if I don't know you, you come to my establishment and then you leave and don't say nothing to me and then go online, type everything up about how everything was nasty, the place won't clean, and I'm looking at the place clean and everything. Like, why do people do that?
Again, if I look at the examples I just gave you in the Bible, right? Because that's what Joseph's brothers did to him, in a sense, right? They lied to his father on him for no reason. And not only him, there were other people in Joseph's life, they did the same thing. They lied on him for no reason. Now, in the liar's mind, they had a valid reason, okay? And here's what I think it is that many people feel that your failure is their success. And so that's how they gauge their own success. And so that to them is like getting an Oscar, when they can bring you down, for various reasons. And here's what a wise woman said to me. Her name was Sadie Walton. She lived to be over 100 years old. And here's what she said to me. She said, know this, that people will always lie on you. Your job is not to try to stop them from lying. Your job is to make sure their lie never becomes true.
Gotcha.
That was her position. Because she said, in the end, every lie will come to the surface. Every lie will come to the surface. And I find that true about myself. That there have been times when people have placed things on Facebook that are incorrect about me as an individual and how I do things.
Right.
And first, people have come to me and say, did you read this on Facebook? And no, I didn't, because that's not where I'm at. I'm not into that kind of stuff. But inevitably, what will happen is down the road, somebody will come to me and say, I knew that couldn't have been true. And I say, well, why? What are you talking about? And they say, because I know I know you're this way, or I know you that way.
Right.
Or I've watched you since I saw that post to see how you were as a person. And you've never exhibited that kind of behavior.
Right.
And so that's why I kind of think that Mrs. Walton, again, lived to be over 100 years old, wise woman, was correct in her assessment that it is not how much they lie, it's whether or not you become or you validate their lie by doing what they said that you have done, or come close to it. So I think that's the key for me anyway. That's how I kind of look at it.
All right, so switching gears here, same subject. Now let's talk about people who generally believe that their criticism that they need to give it. And at what point does the criticism go from critical feedback to just plain old flat out just hate?
Here's what I would say. We have to ask ourselves, does this criticism correct an error? Does this criticism make me better? Or does this criticism just attack what I have done? Now, if you tell me I am wrong, let's say, then you also need to tell me what is right.
Thank you.
Okay? Because just to say I'm wrong, your opinion, and it may be valid, But if you can't lead me to the road of rightness, then to me that's haterism, right? That's haterade with a double dose, okay?
Right.
Because if the other thing too, if my goal is to make you a better individual, then I guess what we call criticism, we like to call it constructive criticism, I guess at times.
Right.
You won't even feel like I'm criticizing you if that's my goal.
Right.
You know, if that's my goal, then what I'm trying to do is educate you on something. Instead of being educating and criticizing, it's to educate. And I think that's a key difference. People who are haters, generally speaking, when they're coming to you and hating on you to you, as an individual,
right,
what they tend to do is not tell you what would be better, but just tell you why you're so bad and why what you did was so bad and why it wouldn't work or why you were hypocritical and all this kind of stuff. You know. And I find that if you're going to call me hypocritical, you got to explain to me why I'm a hypocrite. What did I do?
Right.
And how did it adversely impact you? And how do you know that it's hypocritical? Because how do you know how I feel, how I act? Like for example, a person may say, I'm using this as just an example. A person may say a Christian is a hypocrite because they see the Christian at a club, right? Mm-hmm. But that doesn't mean I'm a hypocrite because you see me at the club. Because in order for me to be a hypocrite, I must have espoused to other people that going to a club is sinful.
Right.
And if I've never said that going to a club is sinful, and you see me at a club, I'm not being a hypocrite. Now I may be wrong, but I'm not a hypocrite.
Right.
Because the hypocrite means I'm saying one thing, I'm doing another.
Right.
But a person may see you at the club and say, look at that big old hypocrite. Call themselves a Christian at the club dancing just like I'm dancing.
Right.
No, that doesn't make me a hypocrite. They just make me a Christian at the club.
Right.
Right. And so if you're trying to help me, let's say you are trying to help me, and rather than hate on me, then why wouldn't you just come to me and say, hey, my brother, look, I'm just letting you know now that, there are many people that realize you are the pastor of a church. And so when they see you here, they kind of question whether or not, your preaching is from the heart or if you're just in it for the money. Right. Okay. Then, that I can work. I can work with that. Right. I can work with that because you didn't down me. You just told me a fact about that's what people may think. Then I can make the assessment and say, well, you know what, you're right. Let me sneak on out of here and go back home and watch, TV or something. Right. Or I can just stay there and do what I'm doing and say, hey, listen, brother, my beliefs are that it's okay for me to be here in the club dancing with my wife. Right. But people tend to, as you said earlier, is that's not how they kind of do things. They're not going to come up to me. You know what they're going to do?
Go to somebody else.
Right. They're going to somebody else.
And that's the thing that really irks me is if you're in high school, I get it. You ain't grown. Mm-hmm. But if you a grown adult and you feel you close enough to that person to, if you're an acquaintance and you feel that versus turning to the person that's at your table when you at the club and saying, hey, there's go Pastor Daniels over there. He really getting down. I want, why not go over to Dr. Daniels? And so that's what I don't get. Then you may say, you know what? Me and my wife had a rough month. Mm-hmm. And we said, you know what, let's get back to what we used to do. Mm-hmm. Go out and have fun. They have no idea of what reason you have to be in the club in the first place. Right. So, but we as people tend to assume things and then speak it as if it's fact to other people. Right. Absolutely. And and if you really, again, criticism, haterism. I don't know if you remember in the movie Soul Food. You remember the movie Soul Food? Mm-hmm. Remember when the movie, in the initial part of the movie, they're at a wedding. Okay, they're at this wedding, and Neil Long's husband, who is just in the movie, who recently got out of jail, he's dancing, but he's dancing with this hoochie mama. Right. And Neil Long's sisters, they run to the bathroom and get her and say, you better come out here, girl, and check your man. Right. Okay. Now, Big Mama, who could have did the same thing, she didn't do it that way.
Big Mama went and cut in between the hoochie mama and the man and just started dancing with the man, right? Because she was saying, basically what she's saying is, hey boy, you at a wedding. This is your new bride is in the bathroom.
Right.
You ain't got no business out here dancing with this hoochie mama.
Right.
So she did not hate. She made it work better because she said, let me just move in and do what I got to do.
Right.
To bring this thing back to where it ought to be. See, but the haters went in there in the bathroom and said, hey, listen, girl, let's go out there and let's go upside this woman's head.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And so that's why I'm saying the difference between criticism and haterism is Big Mama criticized it without opening her mouth. She still let him know, you're wrong for dancing with this hoochie mama, so I'm going to dance with you.
Right.
The haters saying, let's go fight.
Right. And, and the crazy thing about that is I've been in situations to where I've seen other guys doing the same thing. They would, they out with the guys, but they don't see the wife's girlfriends that ain't with the wife. The wife's not there, but they looking at him like, hey, man, you need to chill out. You pull them to the side. Nowadays, we get to the point where even your own homeboys is just like, you out with us. Who cares? Right. But then you got to go home and deal with that. And you best believe the story that your wife is going to hear is not going to be how things really went down. It's going to be, Bernie Mac would say 100 on 10.
That's right.
So, so it's, I don't understand why people do that. Well, I used to know until you, a couple episodes ago, you told me it was born in us. Now it's like, you know what, it is what it is.
It's innate.
Right.
It's innate, and like you say, the Bible says we are born in sin and we are shaped by iniquity. In other words, the Bible is saying that a part of our existence, our surroundings, our environment is such that it leads us to enjoy chaos. Right. Even though we say we don't, that's not necessarily true. We like chaos. We just don't like it in our own personal life. Right. But we like chaos. Right. If a good argument break out, as long as it ain't you, we want to hear it.
Right. That's right.
We want to hear it. If some mess going on, as long as it's not in my life, I want to know about it. If it's some good gossip, then fill me in as long as it ain't about me. Right. We really do like that chaos. And so a part of it is liking the chaos, and a part of it is I just don't like you to be happier than I am. Yeah, and I think, I can deal with I just, want to make some chaos happen in your life. That part, I can work with. Because I don't view that as being malicious. That's just you trying to have fun at my expense, right? Right. What bothers me is those haters that do it, they hate because they are trying to tear you down. Yeah. That jealous kind of hatred, that you should not have what you have, or, kind of thing. Listen, if I'm leading somebody astray and you come and tell me I'm leading somebody astray, I don't view you as a hater. I view you as trying to benefit the people that you think I may have been leading astray. Right. But if I'm just successful in what I'm doing, and now you start to condemn me and do these kind of things, now to me, that's a hater. Because if what I'm doing does not negatively impact you, why are you even worried about it? Right. Yeah.
Now here's the next phase of this I want to talk about is Haters Anonymous, which is how do you recognize that you could be a hater yourself, and then what you can do about it?
That's a delicate one right there, because most people don't like to admit they are haters. Right. You know what I'm saying? And so even if we give them a way to look at it, they're going to hate and say, he don't know what he's talking about. Right.
Still hate on the information.
Yeah, they're going to information. Right. It to me, it's kind of straightforward. If my response to anybody's success is to try to invalidate how they got their success, I am a hater. Right. So, for example, let's say I work and I'm a good worker, and you're okay worker, and you get promoted. And so when you get promoted, my reasoning for thinking you got promoted over me is that either we would call you a brown noser, or if you're a female, you must have slept with the male boss.
Right.
Right.
That's right.
Then that makes me a hater. Straight up, I'm a hater. Because if I'm trying to invalidate your success just because I think I should have been the one succeeded, that's hating.
Right.
Because, you never know why a person selected the other person. Right. And I'll give you a classic example. Generally speaking, when I first became a manager, people were still using typewriters. It's been a while back, right? I mean, we had computers, but for the most part, people still use typewriters.
Right.
Okay. Now, when I was in the fourth grade, my fourth grade teacher made the mistake of telling me that Benjamin Franklin was a poor speller. So when she told me that Benjamin Franklin was a poor speller, first thing that hit my mind was, well, why do I need to be a good speller?
Right.
If Ben Franklin was a poor speller, then I want to be like Ben. So from that point on, I stopped trying to learn how to spell words. Just cut it out. Okay. Now, move on up years later. I'm a new manager, and I'm hiring a secretary. I gave him a spelling test.
Okay. To make sure to cover your
cover my weakness.
Right.
See, I was hiring somebody to cover my weakness, which means the person that got the job was not the most educated person. They were not the best typist. They certainly didn't have the best experience, as being a secretary.
Right.
And so there were haters. He'd hired her because she's cute.
Right.
Had nothing to do with it. It was a young girl, number one. It was a young girl.
Right.
And too young for me to be thinking about. It had nothing to do with that. I hired her because she passed the spelling test. Okay?
Right.
So, but they was hating on her.
Right.
But see, you don't know why a person selects another person.
Right.
So rather than hate on the person, why? They didn't select themselves for the job. Why get mad at them?
Right. They applied for the job just like you did.
Just like you applied for the job. Why accuse them of stuff?
Right.
And similar thing had happened to me. I was relatively young when I first became manager, and when I became a senior manager, I was still relatively young, as government employees go. And I was accused of everything under the sun, not just, about what I did to get promoted.
Right.
Now, I did none of it. As a matter of fact, give you an example. For one of my promotions I got, first it was a temporary promotion. And so the gentleman that had the authority to make the promotion permanent, he knew I was a minister. So he would send his son to me to talk to me.
Right.
I mean, I said yes, of course.
Right.
I talked to him. And so when I heard he was going to retire, I go to his office. And I said to him, I won't call his name, but I said, sir, I understand you're going to retire. He said, yeah. I said, well, can you give me a going away gift? And he looked at me and smiled and said, normally it's the other way around, isn't it? And I said, yes. He said, well, what do you want? I said, can you make this promotion permanent before you leave? And he looked at me and smiled and said, you're the first person to ever ask me something like that. But since I am leaving, I'll do it. He made it permanent. People assumed it was someone else responsible for my promotion.
Right.
They didn't know I went all the way up to the director to get it. See, they assumed it was my supervisor that gave it to me, but it wasn't my supervisor. It was the director. And so they hated. And they said all kinds of things about why I got the promotion. Even one of my best friends put out rumors as to why I got the promotion. Okay? Because they didn't know what I had done.
Right.
Right? But why? Even if you disparage my name, that doesn't give you the promotion.
Right. It doesn't.
It changes nothing. I'm still promoted.
Right.
Now, people may not like me, but I'm still getting the money.
Right.
Right. So, but those are supposedly one of my close friends that disparaged my name.
Yeah.
And they had no idea how I got a promotion. But that's how I got it.